I'm Reverend Will McGarvey, Executive Director of the Interfaith Council. We are so grateful to Diane Maltester and her friend for the music. We have one more piece by another group that we'll hear more from Janet about in the future, but this is your first introduction to Kitka. Let it be a good surprise.
Ayush.
We welcome you to the International Women's Day, and as we come together, we invite you to go to the upper right-hand corner of your square or to your name in the participants list and hit on the Write More button, and we invite you to rename yourself, to just add any of your pronouns that you use, and to put in what native lands that you may look on. Contra Costa County is on the very top portion of this picture and includes both Chochenyo Ohlone in the coastal East Bay all the way down towards San Jose, Carquin from about Hercules north to Vallejo, and Miwok from Martinez and Walnut Creek and east. And if you just put that into your naming, that would be helpful and help us see how broadly we are coming together tonight. We want to introduce Dr. Erica Bains, who's the chair of our governing board, and she is going to give us some introductions of our panelists tonight. And here's their names. And we are so grateful for each of them being here and being a part of our time together. So let's open our gallery view. And Dr. Erica, take it away.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us tonight and being part of this year's International Women's Day celebration. For over a century, International Women's Day, held on March 8th every year, has marked the celebration of advocacy and the celebration for women's rights and equality around the world. This year's theme is celebrating the tremendous efforts of women and girls all around the world in shaping a more equal future and recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. And the reason for the celebration goes without saying. The achievement of women and the leadership during this last year has been extraordinary. Here in the US and abroad, all around the globe, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we saw many women leaders who stepped up and led this research in a rush to find vaccine, made critical leader-like decisions to meet the safety and the healthcare needs of the nation, provided access to the resources to those in need, and despite obstacles, never tired or wavered. Besides the visible leadership of many, including the Prime Minister of New Zealand, the first female VP of US, during the pandemic, women represented a large percentage of the workforce worldwide. And proportionately more women served in the front lines fighting the virus as essential workers and healthcare providers. And as we said earlier, this is not just a day to celebrate, but it's a call for advocacy for women's rights and equality. During this time also, women are suffering more from the devastating social and economic effects of the pandemic. With children out of school, women are bearing the brunt of the unpaid childcare, caregiving, inundated with homeschooling of their children, while maintaining their careers and their jobs. Yet, there is a 28% gender wage gap in every field in which a man and woman work equally with the same skills and knowledge. Women of color have been hit the hardest by this crisis due to the high representation in the frontline workers, as well the disproportionate impacts of COVID-19 on people of color. And yet from the lessons learned, there lies many opportunities. Yes, COVID sent us through as many curveballs, but there are a lot of opportunities, and tomorrow we can discuss those. For example, in the Zoom interactive world lies so many opportunities that we can use to shape a better world for women tomorrow, where we can use this interactive Zoom world to help women stop suffering from the unjust violence and unequal access to resources and including education. So those are some of the things to celebrate and some of those things that we can advocate to. We have today 7 wonderful women from various diverse interfaith faith groups from the Bay Area. I'll take a quick minute to say their names and I will let them introduce themselves when they start answering the questions. So we can wait for tomorrow to talk about advocacy, but today let's join in with these wonderful women and let them share with us their wisdom, their reflections and their concerns. Let's all learn from this group of women. We have today Jaleh Kilpatrick from the Walnut Creek Bahá'í group. She was a former member of the elected council of the Interfaith Council of the Contra Costa County. We have Joanne Lawson from Easter Hill United Methodist Church from Richmond. We have Diane Maltester, First Christian Church of Concord, Disciples of Christ, I believe, also on the elected council of the Interfaith Council. Dr. Nimbargi, she is from the Hindu faith group. We have Jessica Sterling from the Jewish Community Relation Council, also on our elected council. Sabra Suharwardy, she is from the San Ramon Valley Islamic Center, also on the elected council of the Contra Costa County. And finally, Mary Taylor from the Rossmoor Black Lives Matter, part of the Danville Congregation UCC. I'm not going to take too much of time because I, for one, can't wait to learn from the wisdom, the wise words, and the reflections of these wonderful women on the panel today. So I'm going to get started. And in the order that your name was called for this first question, I'm going to pose a question. And then before you answer the question, please introduce yourself, your faith group, and anything you'd like to add for us to get to know you better. The first question we are thinking, I thought to ask today, given the theme of this year's celebration as well as advocacy, in terms of COVID-19 pandemic and the challenges, how did your faith and a culture guide and help you find a balance between family and your professional life and a career? We will start with you, Jalee Kilpatrick.
And while she's getting unmuted, I'm just going to recognize that I put in that you some of the land acknowledgements. If you wanted to rename yourself, you're welcome to do that, and the picture is in there, but also the first question is in there in the chat room. Thanks, Jalee.
I am Jaleh Kilpatrick, Baha'i from Walnut Creek, and I am a member of a very large Baha'i community around the world, and we are all connected by prayer. And in Walnut Creek, in the Contra Costa County, we have prayer meetings regularly. I've had it during the year, and that's how we get to see each other on Zoom, of course. And then we get to see each other, and we pray for everyone. But I know that we pray for America every time we meet, and we pray for people of the world. And it keeps us, together, and we do not, at least I do not feel anxiety or any kind of negative feelings. Of course, we have a lot of prayers in the Baha'i writings from the founder of the Baha'i faith, Baha'u'llah, Prophet Islam Abdul Baha. And there's one 3-line quote that I would like to read to you, that I take it in, internalize it. Be calm, be strong, be grateful, and become a lamp full of light, that the darkness of sorrows be annihilated, and that the sun of everlasting joy arise from the dawning place of heart and soul, shining brightly. This was written by Abdul Baha, son of Baha'u'llah. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne Lawson. Would you like to answer that question and introduce yourself, please?
Yes, I will. I'm Joanne Lawson. I am a member of Easter Hill United Methodist Church in Richmond, where my husband is a pastor emeritus. He served there for 14 years. I'm also a member of United Methodist Women. Ours is an 800,000 member organization, the largest that I think of women organizations. And I have served as president of the California Nevada Conference most recently. And I am now serving on the Racial Justice Charter Support Team for the National Office of United Methodist Women. My faith in the 70s, as I was thinking about my purpose, what is my purpose here? I was working for the city of Berkeley. I worked for 3 mayors there during the 60s. And in the mid to late 70s, I began thinking more about why I'm here. I had been in service organizations. The city of Berkeley I worked for. I also worked for the city of Oakland. And I worked for the Pacific Bell. And I discovered that people, serving and working with people, was my love. And once I joined United Methodist Women and became aware of the international reach of that organization in terms of changing lives, in terms of providing educational opportunities, grants for leadership development, establishing mission institutions all around the United States as well as internationally. That has changed my faith journey considerably. And the pandemic has shaken, of course, all of that. But I am committed to doing all that I can that leads to building the Creator's beloved community.
Thank you, Joanne. Diane Maltester, you're next.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. I have been a lifelong member of the Disciples of Christ, a Protestant group and the church I go to is in Concord. It's Concord First Christian Church. What has always been wonderful to me about this denomination is that it has always allowed youth and women to participate. So it's been, in fact, we were one of the first denominations to have a woman as our pope, and Sharon Watkins is her name, and to have that be I think it was a beautiful moment for our spiritual community, and with that support from my youth and being able to see the beauty of supporting others and helping those in need has been always a common goal, and to be able to participate in any way that I can through our church has been a blessing, and have had the opportunity to grow in that regard. And further has been able to become a member of the I4C Council has showed me not only the beauty of other faiths, but the strength in other religious organizations and the beauty that we have and the commonness we have to share. And in that, I feel we have strength and has given strength to all of us. And hopefully we can share that with others in our community and in the world.
Thank you, Diane Maltester. Dr. Nimbargi, would you like to share your thoughts on your religion, your faith background, as well the answer to that question, how has your faith helped you during this process?
Sure. Yeah, first of all, happy International Women's Day to all amazing women. And myself, Jayashree Nimbargi, I'm a internal medicine physician by profession. I live in East Bay with my family, and I'm follower of Hindu faith. I'd like to share, before I answer my question, I'd like to share a quote by Swami Vivekananda, great Indian monk. So the quote, here's the quote: I'm proud to belong to a religion which taught the world both tolerance and universal acceptance. We not only believe in the universal tolerance, but we also accept all religion as true. Now to the question, answering the question. So I grew up with believing a philosophy of Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The term Vasudeva Kutumbakam stems from a Sanskrit word which translates into world as one family. Under this ideology, it empowers us to inculcate the in-depth spiritual understanding of humanity as one entity. The question I always pondered, if the ocean is whole, how can a drop from the ocean can be different? From my interpretation of Vasudeva Kutumbakam, I firmly held a belief that we have obligations to not only our families, but also we have responsibilities to our society. As a functioning member of society, we all have responsibilities to all living beings. On day-to-day basis, I practice prayers, yoga, meditation. This spiritual routine helps me stay grounded and positive. My personal beliefs has benefited me in a great deal because they have equipped me with the ability to empathize, relate to others, and most importantly, have compassion for others. Personally, I work in a healthcare field, so where it's hard not to bring work home. However, I'm truly blessed with a supportive family. Along with the unconditional support from my family and my beliefs, I'm able to find a perfect balance between work and life. Another aspect that helps me balance is to express gratitude for everything life has offered. The acknowledgement of what I have to be thankful for brings me a contentment and joy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nimbargi. Jessica Sterling, you're next. Please introduce yourself first.
Can you hear me okay? So my name is Jessica Sterling, and I represent the Jewish faith. And I work for a Jewish Community Relations Council, and I'm the Jewish Community and Education Outreach Manager there. I also serve on the executive committee at the executive board at my synagogue, which is in Oakland, Temple Beth Abraham. And I'm also on the elected council of I4C. So how, in terms of the COVID-19, how did my faith help me through this? I have to say it's helped me a lot. One of the things that's built into the faith is the Shabbat. And on Friday nights, I celebrate Shabbat with 3 rituals of lighting candles and the blessing on wine and a blessing on challah, which is braided bread. And it really slows everything down. And the families all together, maybe not during COVID, my adult daughter and my teenage daughter might be out, but now we're in COVID, we're all together, and we get to all slow down on Friday nights and enjoy this dinner and have a conversation. And some Fridays I bake my own challah, which is, just another step, which, baking and letting it rise, and it's the whole process. Another thing that I like to do is I like to attend Friday night or Saturday morning services. And during COVID, those have gone online. And fortunately, I can just wake up and turn on YouTube, and I'm in services with community. And our rabbi says that our community is coming out. There's a lot of people every Friday night, every Saturday morning. He and a very small group are outdoors celebrating the service. I went to one, but then I decided that I'd feel better watching at home. So I know there are very few people who are there in person, and I'm able to join them online. So that's been really great to be part of my community in that way. And the third way is a value called pikuach nefesh. It's the Jewish value of saving a life. And this value has helped keep me focused on keeping myself and those around me safe and healthy by following the protocols and wearing a mask or a double mask when in public, and just staying home as much as I can. So that's how I've been looking to my faith to get through COVID.
Thank you, Jessica. Sabra, Suharwardy, you are next. You have to unmute yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Sabra Suharwardy. I belong to the San Ramon Valley Islamic Center. I've been around here for 40 years, and the San Ramon Valley Islamic Center has been around now for more than 30 years. We were the starting members, and we came in as teachers in the Islamic faith. And these days, because of COVID, things have drastically changed. I think everybody realizes that, how things have drastically changed. And I think my faith has been one of the biggest, guideline and my pillar of support for everything and anything. One of the basic Islamic beliefs is that, when you are born, you're born with the day of your death. So you cannot change that. Okay. And so I was really scared of COVID. And then I realized I could not die a day before or after, or even a moment before or after my time was there. One or two, couple of things that the faith tells us about COVID or about pandemics and epidemics is that if you are inside an epidemic, if you are present in the place where the epidemic is, please don't leave that place, because you're going to spread it. And if you're not there, do not go there. If you're not inside in the place. So now, since we are all in lockdown and we are all in homes, and this was a very major, change for me, because I was involved in a lot of things. I was going to a lot of meetings, and I had a career as well. I was a teacher, so my day was pretty much, summed up in going from places to places, and everything was divided that this has to be done at this time. And suddenly I'm home the whole time. This was very different. It was very, in a way, it was relaxing, but it couldn't be relaxing because we were in a COVID SIP. And so I thought, how you can have the feeling of unhappiness or being locked in, and feelings, feeling closed up. But I was thinking of how being home, everything is delivered to us, and yet, even though we don't leave our houses, we are not short of anything, of any supply, of any food. We have so much food, and we are so lucky we didn't get sick. It's the time for us to really pray and give thanks to God, really. Because even staying home, I would go out, like I'm sure I know I would go out 4 times a week for grocery, if not for one item to another store or something to buy. Even if you plan your grocery, you sometimes end up going a couple of more times. And yet I'm not leaving the house, but yet I am not short of anything. So I just felt that was a huge, it was a gift from that you're home, and yet you get everything, and you're not sick, and you're not short of food. Or I think especially when I hear of all the people who were laid off, and people who don't have jobs, and people who need money, and everything is so stagnant right now. And so, at a full stop, that people can't, those who don't have a job have a very hard time finding a job in this situation. People who new graduates from colleges and schools who need places to work, they don't have that. So if we have working from home and we are being able to do it, I think that's one of the luckiest thing in the world, that we have food on our table. And we realize that we sit together and eat, which was very hard before because people had different schedules. And so our families are coming together, and I thought that is so important for us. That is really, and that's what I felt. Because I would like to tell you something about in the Muslim book, in the Quran, there was a sentence which confused me. It was said to the Prophet of Islam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he was asked by the angel Gabriel. This was a message from God, that if you want, he lived in a city called Medina. That was his very beloved city, and this is where he's buried also. This place is in Saudi Arabia. That if you want, Medina is surrounded by mountains, hills, and he sent a message by God that if you want, I can turn all these hills into gold. And this is in the Quran, this sentence itself. If you want, I can make all these hills into gold. And what he said was, his reply to it was, it's not in the Quran, but it's given, that he said, no, I don't want that. What I want is, I want one full day's meal, so that when I have a full meal, and I can thank you, Allah, thank you, God. And the next day I want to go hungry, so that I can learn to be patient. So we have to take our clues and our ways from the Quran and from the saying of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so this was his way of doing things. Another story I have is, in Islam, leaders are usually selected by the group of Muslims. And when somebody's usually people will choose, somebody who's more religious and more caring of others. This was in Prophet Muhammad's time, not these days. It's a different day. And he chose his best friend. Prophet Muhammad's best friend was chosen, Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq. His name was Abu Bakr Siddiq, and he had a title from the Prophet, Siddiq, which means the truthful. And he was asked, when he was chosen, he was asked, how much monetary money should we give you as our leader of all the Muslims at that time? And he said, give me something that you would give to a person who, a laborer. And he said, how will you take care of your family with so little money? He said, then you should increase the pay of the laborer so that I can eat better. He chose to go to the lowest paying person to do that. So I suppose this is all I would like to tell you about. And this is what brought together the balance for me, the patience and the giving thanks. And of course, there was one more thing. I don't know if I have time anymore. I'm running out of time right now.
I have two other questions. Okay. Perhaps you can take it at the next question.
Yes, I'll do that. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sabra. Mary Taylor, you're next, please.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Taylor, and my faith is Christianity. And I have been in different denominations, Baptist, AME, African Methodist, Episcopal, and now I am thrilled to be serving with United Church of Christ in Danville. I'm not sure I achieved balance throughout the pandemic because, like everyone, I was shocked when this occurred in March. And then in May, I was drawn into another calling, and that was after the murder of George Floyd. And so I am leading a Black Lives Matter group here in Rossmoor. Which I believe is a service, because I've always been in service. I'm a life coach. And so I feel like my faith definitely guided me and bolstered me through this work, because it's very challenging. One of the things that my faith has taught me that I believe is that God is with me regardless of my circumstances. And it's an unconditional love. And I lean on that. The other thing that has boasted me is gratitude. I start every morning going through the alphabet, A through Z, identifying things that I am grateful for. So even in the midst of challenges, that sets my day on the right course. And so I think what COVID-19 has done was, I think it gave us downtime to reflect and to maybe spend time focusing on those blessings that we may not have noticed before. So I think that's what you wanted to know, correct? Okay, good.
Panel, we are going to take a quick music break, and then we'll come back and do question number 2, and we will go in the opposite direction. So Mary Taylor, you'll be first to answer. Reverend Will?
Yes, Janet's going to introduce our next musical piece.
Thank you. My name's Janet Catholis, and I actually went to high school with Diane Maltester. And I'm a singer in a group that's based in Oakland. It's a singing group called Kitka. It's a women's vocal ensemble that specializes in music from Eastern European areas and the Caucasus Mountains areas. And we sing, the group has been around for over 40 years. And we sing folk songs that are very old and very powerful, and predominantly invented in small rural communities and villages by the people who had just had to sing. People back then, just like now, have to have music in their lives. And the women largely were the cultural bearers, and a lot of them in these communities were singers. And so the song that we're going to hear now is actually a medley of 2 songs. And the first song is very traditionally sung. So it's nice to hear women sang in these, it's a Bulgarian song. Women sang in these big, giant outdoor voices. It's very satisfying to sing like this. And in the first song, you'll hear this traditional diaphonic style where you have a drone singing and voices on top doing something a little bit more acrobatic. And then the second song of the medley is a more arranged version of a village song. Both songs are wintertime caroling songs. And I think that's all I have to say about them. Thanks for listening.
We will get started now with the second question. Are we still playing the music?
No, there's another piece between the next two questions. I just left up what the second question is, and I'll post it here for everyone to see in the chat room.
Erica, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. So we have our second question for the panelist, and that is, as a woman from your religious faith group, you can answer one of the two questions. What do you feel your role is in impacting an equal and just society, not just for females, but for all genders? Or how does your faith help you stand up for gender bias and influence your actions against inequality?
Thank you. I believe that celebrating the humanity of every individual is key. And I believe that is the position that my faith takes on. I'm very fortunate to be worshiping at this time at United Church of Christ because they're very affirming and very accepting and loving. As we know, as I know anyway, at least in some of the denominations where I have worked and served, it was not always accepting. Pulpit was not always open to women, for instance. But I feel like I have an opportunity here to fully support people. As I said, I'm a coach. One of the things I think I am able to do there is to hold safe space for people, perhaps while they are contemplating what they want to do in service to others. And so just valuing each individual for the gifts that God has blessed them with, and trying to encourage them and to support them in finding paths to actually realize that. Okay, thank you.
You take a few minutes to answer that.
Is this me now? Hello?
Yes.
Is this my
Yes,
okay,
we
yes.
can see you, Sabra,
Yes, hi.
and we can hear you.
Yes, okay. I believe that my faith beliefs that help me stand up for gender bias, because in Islam, you know, the women and the men, in a way, in this world right now, it does not seem like they've been treated equally, but that's not the way of Islam. Islam has said, you know, the ayats of the Quran are the Muslim men and the Muslim women, the good, you know, the pious men and the pious women, the believing men and the believing women, the charitable men and the charitable women, the fasting men and the fasting women, the men who guard the chastity and the women who do the remember Allah. And so they have been treated, they have never been treated differently. It's just that at some point in time, in a household, to make it easy for, you know, the group, men have been given that they can take the lead, but it doesn't mean they are the dominant one. The women are the one who running the household, so they need to take care. And it is said, the hadith of the Prophet was that the man is supposed to take care of the outside of the house, and the women are supposed to take care. And they are the in a way they are the queens of the house. So they are supposed to do. And so this is one thing that I believe in. And so I will not take that position and let others take that position with me, that the women are subjugated to the men, which is you will very commonly see in uneducated Muslim people, because they believe that the man is all powerful, all knowing. And this because they are not, this is not from God. This is a general in the world, because this helps a man become more dominant and he can rule over others. And this is one of the reasons it's this way. And also this the reason is I can go with the book of God and do this, you know, and I can work with it. So I don't have to sorry. So I don't have to agree that a man can be a man is taking over. A man is more superior to a woman because of just because he's being a man and he gets a better pay. If a woman's educated, this is what she deserves to get. And so and what else? I think I'm done with this one.
Thank you so much. Jessica Sterling, are you there? You're next.
Thank you. I think I'm unmuted. So I find myself in an interesting position. I work for a Jewish organization, and I also am on the executive board of my synagogue. So a lot of the people that I work with and that I work for and that I see in my life are Jewish, which is why one of the reasons that I joined this Interfaith Council, and actually am a member of 5 Interfaith Councils, because why join one when there are 5 to join? So it's just an interesting place to work from and to live from. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to focus on two ways that my role can impact the just society for everyone. And those are, I'm taking these from the JCRC values, which are Jewish values, but these are some of the values that JCRC works by. One is B'Tselem Elohim, which is that all are created in God's image. And this means, this assures that equal opportunity exists for individuals, irrespective of religion, race, ethnicity, political affiliation, gender identity, sexual orientation, or physical or mental disability. And the second is Lo Ta'amod Al Dam Re'echa, which is do not stand idly by. And at JCRC, we refer to demonstrating a commitment to activism and to amplifying the Jewish community's voice on critical issues in the public sphere. And one example of that is the various hate crimes that are going on all these minority communities, from African American and AAPI and Muslim and Jewish and more. And we can't just stand by. We, as women and as the whole community, need to speak up and to stand against the hate. So I'll stop there for now. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Jessica. Dr. Nimbargi, you're next.
Sure. So so under Hindu Dharma, the wisdom, prosperity, knowledge, and power are symbolically represented by female Hindu deities. According to Hindu Dharma, the females are source of power, that is Shakti. And both men and women are regarded and treated equally. So I was raised in a small city in India, and in a big joint family, which valued culture and tradition. My mother always said, a woman is a first teacher to her children. When I became mother myself, I knew I played a vital role in teaching my children equality and good moral values. I grew up watching my grandparents and my parents facing life situations with patience and courage. They taught me patience is a form of wisdom which focuses on long-term gains rather than short-term gains, whereas courage empowers us with the confidence to go after the things that are important to us in life. I want to impart the same values to my kids in the form of education. I strongly believe that when a woman is educated, the whole family will in turn bear the fruits of education. Being educated will not only help women, but it also benefits all genders within our communities. I know good values all start with the family and then extend further into our communities. With good values, we can build a stronger community and embrace the power that comes with helping each other thrive. Thank you.
Nimbargi, Diane Maltester, you're next.
Well, as a Christian, of course, Jesus is our spiritual guide, and he was not necessarily accepted by the societies at that time, and he would always, many of his parables were him being with the underserved, the outcasts of society, and he would always be with the woman at the well, or whatever parable is your favorite. And to me, it just shows that he was really going to serve those in need and those who were deserving the most. And in that, though, it's, in my opinion, it's our actions that, and what we do in life is what is most important. There was a sermon once at our church where the pastor said, he quoted somebody, and I don't know who it was, but he said, and I don't mean to put down our beliefs, but he said, our beliefs are the booby prize of religion. It's not how you act, but it is how you act and attend others that counts. And I really respect other people's beliefs, but I just think it's how we are in our day-to-day lives that are important. And with our faiths, we are able to live out that which we are called to be and to do. And one of the blessings, I think, is when we are part of an interfaith culture, we can do these activities together and support one another. And I think it's, again, I'm reiterating what I said earlier, but it gives strength to those that are trying to help the community. And I see that in our area here.
Yeah, thank you so much. We are running a little bit behind time, so I would ask if not that question number 2, you can also answer question number 3. If you have chance, Joanne Lawson, as well as Jalee Kilpatrick, how has the efforts of women during COVID-19 pandemic shaped a more equal future, or how will it shape the recovery or post-recovery? And what opportunities exist?
Let me start by saying that I left out a very, very important role that I have in my church. And that is, we have an interfaith prayer ministry, an intercessory, prayer ministry at our church. And up until 2 years ago, we received prayer requests through the Upper Room Prayer Center in Nashville, Tennessee. We were there we assisted them in receiving those prayer requests and responding to them. And that prayer ministry is at the foundation of my faith. And that prayer ministry meets every Saturday, come rain or shine. And we were gathering at the church, but since last year, we've been gathering virtually. And the group has grown numerically, which is a positive thing that has come out of this pandemic. And I'll say that on that. In terms of how my faith has helped me stand up for gender bias and influence my actions against inequity, I am a follower of Jesus Christ. And I said earlier that in my church, I'm a United Methodist member now, but I was also a Baptist church member. And I've attended Pentecostal churches and Catholic churches all throughout my life, I've had a chance to be exposed to a variety of different faiths. And I believe that there's one creator. And no matter who what we call our faith, there's one creator of us all. And we're all sisters and brothers under the creator, God, for me. And I believe that if I see something in terms of standing up for gender bias, I think I have to agree with another person who spoke earlier that women must be educated. Women are at the helm of the family. Even though the male goes out and works, the women may go out and work as well. But it is the woman's responsibility to bring up the children. And it's that person's teachings that the children will emulate. And it is vitally important that both genders are able to work, or if they choose. I think it's only promoting inequality to say that the place for the woman is to be at home only. I wasn't at home only. I had a daughter and I worked full time, and I worked full time traveling in that work. So I wasn't always at home. My husband was. And I had feelings about that, not being able to just stay at home with my child, but that wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I think that my faith has led me along this faith journey that I've been on that has included my work, because it's always been in a service area. And question number 3.
We can actually come back to it if you'd like.
Okay, why don't we do that?
Jaleh, you're next. Either question 2 or question number 3, how can we all work together jointly as women of all faith for the call of action to achieve equal or achieve equality for women?
Right, yes. Yeah, I would like to do answer question number 2 first by starting that the core principle of the Baha'i faith is the oneness of humanity. And Baha'u'llah, the Prophet founder of Baha'i faith, said, "Know ye not why we created you all from the same dust?" Exalt himself over the other. And he said, "Regard ye not one another as strangers. They are the flowers of one garden and the fruits of one tree." And so Baha'is regard everyone as a member of human family, regardless of race or color or nationality or whatever else. And another principle of the Baha'i faith is equality of women and men. Baha'u'llah said, if you liken a society unto a bird, the women and men are its 2 wings. And unless those 2 wings are same strength, the bird will not be able to fly. So Baha'i women are have the same status in the community as Baha'i men. They serve on the different boards of the assemblies, which are like the governing board of the city and a country. They serve the same. There's no distinction whatsoever. But if there is a tie during the election, and Baha'i elections are without electioneering and campaigning, and by secret ballot, and if there's a tie between a man and a woman for the last person, like number 9, there are 9 members, then the woman is chosen. And the other principle is the equality of women. And I mean, I always said that free education for all people. And as the education of women is especially emphasized because the Baha'u'llah said, if the family has 2 children, a boy and a girl, and they could only afford to send one to school to be educated, should be the girl. Because the girl is going to be the future mother, and the mother is the first educator of the child. And unless the mother is educated, the child will not be educated. So, we buy schools, they have boys and girls. They start from the age of 3, and they teach the children the same things. And it is, when I grew up as a child in Iran, and it was, to me, I never felt I was less than a boy, because we were treated, the family treated exactly the same. And the first time that I found out that I was less than a man was when I went, after high school, I went to Europe to go to university. And the professor would come to, there was 150 students in the amphitheater style class. He would come, and there were 3 girls out of 150 men. And he would come to class and he would say, "Good morning, gentlemen." And so I thought, well, how am I going to get this person's, attention that we are here? So I would wear red sweater, red shirt, and I would sit smack in the middle of the amphitheater, and that when the professor would lift up his head, he would see me right there in the middle, but he would still look at me and it says, "Good morning, gentlemen." After a while, I gave up and I thought he was hopeless. But so then I found that I was less than a man. But otherwise, in the Baha'i communities, you don't see any kind of difference at all. And it's great to be in that position.
Thank you so much, Jaleh. What we'll do is we will take a little break for the music. When we come back, I'll open it up also for the audience, men and women, to answer the third question, if they can join in. Whoever wants to do that can unmute themselves. We'll have to figure out a way to identify you, and we'll answer the question as soon as we come back. Thank you so much.
And we're going to be blessed with some music by Sophia O'Connor, a member at Walnut Creek United Methodist Church.
Beautiful. We'll go ahead now and open it up to the audience of anyone who wants to participate in some of the questions that are listed. First, what opportunities exist for our joint interfaith group, women of all faiths as well, everyone of all different faith groups? What call to action can we all work together in achieving equality for women? I think I heard 3 individuals already talking about Jaleh, Dr. Nimbargi, and Joanne Lawson, all talking about education as being key. And the other question that we may want, there are a couple of questions in the PowerPoint. One that addresses how do we get used to this new norm? And how do we use it to better ourselves? I'll open it up to any one of our panelists, and then or anyone in the audience who wants to go.
May I?
Please go ahead.
I feel that in order for a woman to be equal to a man, is that one, she has to make herself, really educate herself, not only in terms of academic, but spiritually. Become a person that people and want to find out how come you are, this way. What makes you different from other people? So we need to develop our spiritual qualities of being trustworthy, being truthful, being honest. And one of the quotes that I've memorized from the Baha'i writings is that the upholder and defender of the victim of oppression, and let integrity and uprightness distinguish all thine acts, and be fair in thy judgment and guarded in thy speech. So if we develop those qualities in ourselves, then we can become even, we can become really good. It's important for us to be equal men and treated, in terms of education, opportunity, and all. But we are not the same. I was talking about the bird with 2 wings. If you take the wing from the right socket, you cannot put it in the left socket. So they are fit for those 2 sockets. So women are, so they can be the same, but they are different.
Thank
Need
you.
to really develop to become deep people.
Thank you so much. Joanna, I see you have unmuted yourself. Do you want to?
Yes. What I have recently experienced is just a week ago, one of our United Methodist Women's districts invited the president of a local NAACP chapter to join us on a virtual Zoom meeting to talk about how we were responding in this pandemic to the needs of our communities. And at the end of that discussion, we pledged that we will begin to not only continue jointly meeting together, but to reach out and to bring other organizations, other women's groups along with us. I have been so impressed with the millennials' response through the Black Lives Matter movement. I have just really been encouraged and strengthened by that, the actions of white, Black, brown, all cultures coming together to say there's been some injustice in these communities across our country and we need to stop it. And if we join our voices together, all faiths, all cultures, I know we can make a change in this country. I know we can address, it's already happening with the pandemic. There's action already being taken. And it's because there's been so much outspoken response to this pandemic. I'm just encouraged, and I am going to commit myself to, and I did already, continuing to work in that area.
Thank you. Dr. Nimbargi, you have something to
Sure.
add?
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, in our society, woman plays a vital role in helping her family adjust to new realities and challenges. So as much as we have contributed as a woman, we are often, known as silent contributors. So since the beginning of COVID, life has been hard to everyone. So, however, the good people and people like-minded, always want to help, come in forefront and help. So I have seen many women taking initiative and lead, conducting, a couple of my friends as well in the group. They volunteered for daily yoga sessions, conducting yoga sessions to deal with COVID stress, mask making for healthcare workers as well as the community service people, food preparation for homeless people. And as we knew that the senior citizens were at high risk, so making sure they were okay. So helping them with the grocery, and as well as helping, mental health was the main thing in this pandemic. Like entertaining them in a way, having calls, Zoom calls, and apart from that, weekly trivia games. So, making them connected, staying together, feeling the, we are not only the one, we are all together here. So that one, the thought of that we are all here together and this will get better eventually. So on top of that, I'm proud to say that majority of the healthcare workers around the world are women. And currently, woman is taking a global healthcare response as a woman. What an amazing thing it is. So apart from many burdens, many burdens we shoulder at home, we still find enough strength to help each other cope. I believe the strength we have demonstrated and the things that we accomplished in the pandemic will help facilitate women with equal future.
Thank you, Sabra. I see your hand. Celia also has a hand. Sabra and then Celia.
Yes, I just wanted to say that I think one of the things is that the COVID made the playing field more neutral, and the men they see more of the women at this time. And I believe that the women need to, I won't say get a backbone. They've always had the backbone, but they've just let the man go ahead. But I think the women need to stand up for themselves even more. I feel that's really important. They need to make the presence felt, more recognition, more awareness of themselves, because women usually used to agree with the men. Oh, if they say it's okay, but it's really not always okay, and they're not always right. And these are the things, and especially I feel, since we are not so busy in other things, being home and being able to do stuff on Zoom, you can collect your mind together and put it towards working, towards this. And I think they can do much more, and there's more recognition. There's so many women's groups, the Women's March, the Moms Against Violence, the gun violence, women against gun violence. And there's so many more groups that these groups don't come into up on top because they are not so, strong in their, in coming out in a way. And so I think we just need to have our inner strength and show that what we are doing is right, and what we are doing is, correct, and we are going to stand up for this. And I think that's going to make a lot of difference, and women helping women. I'm a professional myself. I'm a teacher and I'm a biotechnologist, and I have 3 girls. In fact, my mother was a professor in the university. So I'm from a very untraditional family in itself. And my 3 girls, one is a doctor, one is a scientist, and one is an architect. So I've educated my girls. I believe they can stand up for themselves and they can do their things in their own rights. And I encourage all girls, not just my girls, all girls to, if you want to start a business, you do it yourself. And you can do it. That's what the most important point. We've always been Girl Scouts. We've done 4-H. We've done all these things to encourage girls and to bring them up. And I believe that we are no woman is less than anybody else. That's what I believe. So that's my little bit.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Celia, you had your hands up. Anyone else, just unmute yourself and I'll find you.
So I'm really not too sure I want to begin, but the first thing I want to say, apolitically, that if there hadn't been a change of government in the United States, we would still not have the vaccine out. We would still have our heads in the ground and people would be dying at much greater rates. I believe that quite firmly, that the majority or of the country still, I don't think, believe in the dangers of the COVID. That's what I think. Secondly, where are the men this evening here in listening? Because I don't think many men, the majority of the men in the world, care about what women think. I'm exaggerating, I know I am, but this brilliant group of women this evening, it breaks my heart that there aren't more men here. And I'm not sure how to tie those two thoughts together, except somehow I think it's, okay, so all our faiths are good in their own way. And all our minds are strong in their own way. But I still don't think that if we, in this country in particular, and in some other countries, if there hadn't been a change in the leadership, women would still be, God bless us all. Sorry, that's about the best I can do, sorry.
Thank you, Celia. Mary Taylor, sorry about that, I saw you there. Sorry.
That's okay. I just think there's a great opportunity at this time. They talk about when something is cracked, that's when light can come through. And I think there's been so many intersections, right? Mental health, healthcare, underemployment, abuse, until I think a lot of women have had to acknowledge what's going on in their life. I think they're maybe more open to the realities and more open to taking that next step. So I think this is an amazing group of women coming together. And I think there's just great opportunities for us to provide outreach and support to women that may not have had access to before, because I think everything is open and changed now. So that's my thought.
Thank you. Christina, I think I saw you unmute yourself. Go ahead.
I just want to say that this panel is just amazing. The integrity and the examples of sheer dedication are wonderful. And so that leads me to some ideas about networking. I would love to see for each of the people in the panel, and probably all of the people who are on this call, just a short list, not only of their faith congregation, but also what other organizations they belong to or what other interests they have. Because that's one thing that I see that, I know that we all have, so many networks of our own, but sometimes we can pick up something that someone else is doing and they're doing right, and we can help to replicate it. And I think that's one of the strengths of having the whole county represented, so that, we can pass along the good ideas.
Thank you so much. I see a few men. I know we said not enough men are here. So can I have a man, please? Unmute yourself so I can find you, so you can see how you may be able to become part of our equation in solving some of those problems. The call to action that we said is important. I see Vashant, right?
Yes, I'm Vasant Shetty. Namaste. I follow the Hindu faith, and this is my first time attending. I'm so impressed with this event, what you put together. I know, as you rightly said, to my surprise, there are a few men here, but probably, they may not be aware. I would say they missed a lot of good info here. So I have seen firsthand, how women has taken the lead role, especially during this COVID, right from mask making to, keeping the family together, keeping us all sane. I have 3 ladies at my home, 2 daughters and wife. And I grew up along with my 3 sisters. So I would say I'm glad to see that many right things are happening to recognize the role of the woman. And we, as one of the panelists said, that educating people, if you educate a girl, that educate the whole house. So with that saying, I think we men need to take an equal responsibility to spreading this message and working shoulder to shoulder with our women sisters, instead of saying the men are superior, right? I think post-COVID, we have a lot of opportunity to bring the community together. Hopefully the things when opens up, as someone said, not only just our own faith, but all the faith coming together and celebrating women, and not only once a year in International Women's Day, but a variety of ways we can do that. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Reverend Channing Miller has unmuted herself. I see 5 other men, so anytime anyone unmutes, we can talk to them as well.
I think the name has something to do with it, International Women's Day. I don't know if I would go to an International Men's Day. I think you need to be inclusive with the name, and you would get more men. But saying International Women's Day, it sounds like it's for women. That's my thought.
That's interesting. I mean, it is a day to celebrate women, so you would think that more than women would want to celebrate women. Greg, you unmuted yourself.
Yes, and I'm here really for 2 reasons. One is to listen and to learn, and the other is to provide righteous alliance.
Thank you. Reverend Channing Miller, I had seen you unmute yourself. Was that by accident or okay?
No, actually, I thought you wanted to ask the men, and so I didn't want to interfere. What I'd like to say is what a brilliant evening this has been, and it's touched my heart. I have a vision in the world, and the vision has been spoken about by all the faiths, by all of the representatives of the faiths. I agree with Joanne that there is one God and that we all worship the same God. The interfaith experience is the opportunity for all of us to work together, to see each other as equals, and to work towards a much better world, a society, and to raise children where our consciousness will rise up over the next centuries. Also, Mary pointed out how each one of us has special gifts from God. And so often those are left, unattended to, or people are unaware of what their gifts are. So activating these gifts individually as well as collectively, I think is really important. So anything that we can do in terms of relating to our friends, to our family, helping to activate the gifts that each person is bringing to the world. And I think that what I'd like to see is more of this kind of getting together and also working together, because the respect, the knowledge and the respect and the awareness that has grown out of tonight will go a long way.
Thank you. It's beautiful. We have come to a conclusion here tonight. We have 1 more minute and we still have a music piece, I believe. I do not see any hands, so no unmuted
Can
person.
I wanted to make a comment,
Yes.
Sure.
Erica.
My friend from Russia, Irina Smirnova, emailed me today that her parents are celebrating the International Women's Day in Russia. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. They should have been invited to join us today.
I thought if I knew how to get to them, I would.
I would like to say one.
Yes, please, Diane Maltester.
I just want to encourage all of us women to support one another as sisters, and to realize in our families and our roles in our families and how we can start with our family and nurturing our children and our daughters to give them the belief that they are wonderful and can do what they want to do in their life. And then secondly, use our faith as a means or a tool to find our calling in which and where our faith leads us to be called. And then maybe start in your own synagogue, your own temple, or your own church, and see what you can do in a leadership role there, and then connect with the interfaith councils, all the programs that are being offered that are somewhat need to be shine a light. And before we go, I just want to say, to me, the people in my life this year that have helped me, inspired me through the pandemic, was Amanda Gorman, the young woman, the young poet laureate that spoke, and also, of course, Kamala Harris and the beauty of her speaking and coming right here from Oakland. And finally, I don't know too much about the women in Georgia, but the Black women that were able to get out the vote, to me, they were my heroes this year. And also in our faith journey, being more aware as a white person, not to put the Black Lives Matter means so much to me, and I'm not going to let it. I just don't think we can ignore it any longer. As women, we cannot ignore what has been suppressed for so long. And we need to stand up for one another. And Mary Taylor, somehow I'd like to speak and find out more about your group, but eventually just connecting. Let's connect. Let's support one another.
Thank you. Tonight's group was amazing. The most beautiful group of people of different colors, different backgrounds. We all came together and we kind of saw that we all have one thing in common, faith. And I think we also agree that we all need to come together. And that's basically what I think today we can celebrate, and tomorrow that perhaps is the call of action. And I hope that we will therefore follow that call of action, come together. There's so much that needs to be done. At the end of the PowerPoint, I have some UN research, UNICEF research that shows all the areas of opportunities to help women, not just in our own community, but around. And we definitely want a lot of men to get behind the causes here, so we can make.
Can I make it just a short response to one of the people in the audience who made a statement? Very short response.
Please.
And my response is that, tearing down.
Jalee, you're muted. We can't hear you, sister. Jalee. We can't hear you, Jalee. Please unmute yourself. We couldn't hear most of what you said.
Okay, I said one of the people in the audience who said, kind of a negative thing about men. I thought they're saying, it's better to turn it around and put it in a positive sense, saying that we would really love to see more men to come to these events where we are celebrating women. And, like I said, what is it? Be fair in thy judgment. unguarded in thy speech. You know, I would not criticize, because criticism doesn't accomplish anything. But just put it in a positive sense that,
Well, and there are some men who are actually opposed to women's rights, so we need to recognize that as well, that we can invite as often as we can, but we aren't always able to fight against those folks that have actually attempted and for at least 10,000 years suppress the voice and leadership of women. So it's important conversations for us, especially all these intersectionalities of patriarchy, of racism, and of colonialism, even here in California. So we're happy that we're going to be able to have this panel on March 24th with Karina Gould, who's an educator and a Native American leader that's a part of the Suharwardy Land Trust, Reverend Shonda Jha, who's anti-racism trainer and executive director of the Oakland Peace Center, and Fresh Lev White, who is with Affirmative Acts Consulting and has done a lot of really great anti-racism training for us already. We're so happy to have all three of them together to be able to do our next anti-racism training on March 24th at 7 p.m. And we don't know if that's, it'll probably be recorded, but this is an opportunity to listen to the lived experience of other people in this country. April 18th, we have a special day retreat with Chief Philip Scott. We had our first Nurturing the Beloved community retreat yesterday with Reverend Dr. Dorsey Blake from the Church for the Fellowship of All Peoples, where Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman preached, and he gave us a great start to our retreat. And our next one is June 6th with Rabbi Jill Perlman from Temple Isaiah. And we'll be especially looking at Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel and his relationship with Dr. King. Here's our postlude, and of course, Erica, maybe you can copy and paste some of that information that you've promised into the chat room as we listen to this postlude of Summer by Reed by Diane Maltester and Wendy Tamis. Thanks so much for being a part of our event tonight, and thanks so much for all of our musicians and speakers and everyone who shared. Erica, did you want to add some of that?
I actually did, but I think for some reason, I think I just put it in right now. So if everybody's got that at the very end, I put some calls of actions based on some data that The UN, as well as UNICEF, as well as the American studies have shown for violence statistics, statistics on child marriages around the world, and statistics on education and its benefit. And these are some of the causes, I think, that better than tomorrow, better than too late, sooner than later, I should say. We should all try and see how we can come together and get behind. It can make a huge difference in the lives of women all around us. Thank you everyone for attending. It was beautiful.
Thank you, Erica. You did a great job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Celia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Erica. Thank you for putting this together and organizing.
And I want to recognize Linda Doran, a past member of our executive committee representing Church World, Church Women United. There you go. Good to see you, Linda. And Jaqueta Alexander is a member of our iChange committee. Want to recognize you and your service on one of our committees helping those that are in process or in juvenile hall. And Christine Nadeau is a member of our elected council as well. Glad that you were all here and able to make it. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Night.
And
Thank
Eric, I
you.
didn't see
Thank
anything in the
you.
chat room, so maybe it was too many characters. It only allows so many characters in there.
Oh,
So
yes,
if
it was a long lesson, I think. Sabra, did you get that? Because initially I accidentally
No.
just gave.
No,
Okay,
I
so it's
didn't
just-
get it.
It's
yeah, I don't
very
think it's
huge
coming through
then.
the chat room because I think there's a
Yeah.
500
I
character
didn't get
limit
it.
or something like that.
I was
So we
actually
can-
looking for it right now.
Yes,
If
I
you
have
email it to me,
posted
Erica, I'll put it on the Facebook page. How's that?
Yes, please.
Perfect. Wonderful.
I'll put it on the look on our Facebook page within 5 or 10 minutes, and this recording will be up there. If you know people that weren't able to make it tonight, and you want to make sure that they get a chance to see it, it'll be on our YouTube channel very soon.
Thank you.
Will.
Thank you,
Be
Will.
well, everyone. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night. Happy International
Bye.
Women's
Good
Day.
night, all.
Everybody wants
Thank
to
you.
know about the 324th, the event on the 24th also.
I will repost that on the Facebook
Yes,
page
please.
as well.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
Thank you, Will, and thank you, Erica. Beautiful
night,
job
Sabra.
done.
Thank you.
Good night.